amazing. No. One of my first biggest lessons about being enlightened is it's a process. It is an evolutionary process, and we continue working on it. And what's so amazing is that moment when you think you know everything, because in that transcendent moment you do, there's still more work to be done, but that brings you to an even more expanded consciousness. And then there's work to be done, and then you expand even more. And you begin to realize, oh, this is what life is. And that's really what enlightenment is to me now, is to recognize we are in a continual evolutionary state of growing and expanding, becoming who we are and then expressing from that, becoming back who we are and then expressing from that. And that's all love. It's love. He uses a word called multi-sensory awareness, because he says the paradigm shift is moving from understanding and creating your reality from the limitation of our five senses to becoming multi-sensory. And what's interesting is he said, it's not the new generations coming in, it's happening to everybody. There's people that are just beginning to be aware that they're aware of things they never were aware of before. They're suddenly seeing things differently. I experienced this with my family recently because my mother used to be a very traditional Christian very traditionally Christian in her beliefs. And that meant, the idea of hell, if you didn't go to church and if you didn't do certain things, that you would go to hell. And she used to really worry about me a lot. And I just say, pray for me, Mom. I'll take all your prayers. And she believed that when you died, you needed to be embalmed and buried in a coffin because there was the idea of the second coming and the raising of the body. And now this was many years ago, and I did not realize this, but over the years, both of my parents, their beliefs shifted really dramatically. And my father just recently transitioned, and my mom said, we're not going to have a funeral. He's going to be cremated, and then when I die, I'm going to be cremated, and then I want you to take us and scatter our ashes at the beach, which they loved. They lived on the beach for 25 years, and have a celebration of life, which thrilled me to no end, but also shocked me, because where and when did that happen? From the woman who was talking to me about, and I had conversations with my father, I'm so happy to say, before he transitioned, because I'm always concerned that the fear of hell will keep people from letting go, right? And because I watched my grandfather go through that. And he goes, and he said something about hell, and I said, well, I don't really believe there's a hell. And he says, yeah, neither do I. And I was like, really? Tell me more. It is amazing to me, and I use this as an example because I see it happening all around me, this shift in beliefs that were really emphatic 10 years ago. And I see this as part of this evolutionary shift. So it's happening with everybody, all ages, globally. And he talks about the fact that we're in a moment of real chaos and diversity because there's an overlap. This is a period of overlap where you have some who are still living in the five sense paradigm, and their worldview will continue to come from that because that's their reality. And I think this is important to get. That's why it's hard to have conversations and things feel so divisive, because there are others whose worldview is shifting and changing to this multi-sensory awareness. And it's going to be really difficult for the two to communicate. So what happens is we get a lot of chaos and divisiveness. And I thought, yeah, that's what it feels like. It's hard to have a conversation. But then I remember my function is to love everybody, not change their minds, not change their hearts, not change anything about them. Love them. And what was the song? Love will find a way. Beautiful song, thank you. Love will find a way, because it is the great harmonizing, authentic power that is active within. I think it's really important when we look at what is ours to do, because really what is ours to do, but to know what within us still gets triggered and still gets defensive. And that's what's keeping us from connecting to others. And they were talking about that, because what normally happens when you try to change a habit, especially one, mostly you have created habits because they've made you feel safe. Generally, that's why we create a habit. It's given us some sense of security and safety and constancy. So when we start to change it, what's the first thing that usually comes up? Resistance, fear, distraction. I don't know about this. I don't want to go that way. I've been doing this and it's been working. Well, not really been working, but yeah. So the interviewer said to him, well, you're not talking about doing battle with inner demons. You're calling on your inherent divinity. She noted that he's not talking about going and doing battle with your inner demons. He's saying call on your inherent divinity, and any shadow work that needs to be done will come up. See, he responds with this. When a frightened part of your personality is active, that's the dragon coming out of the cave and breathing fire. But it's not an enemy. It's not an enemy. It's your healing coming to reach you. These parts aren't obstacles to spiritual growth. I have to say that again. These parts are not obstacles to spiritual growth. They are avenues to spiritual growth. They show you exactly what you must challenge and move beyond the control of in order to become loving with that authentic power of love. But then he reminds you, when you think of them as obstacles to your spiritual development, you miss the opportunities they present. But don't worry, they will return. And I know from that response, probably most of you here, many of you online, have had that experience. When you have been challenged with someone, when you have been triggered by a situation, and you haven't worked all the way through it to totally release it, you may have gotten by and away from it. But I know for myself, it will inevitably show up again, which is motivation for me to stay with it. And it helps me by recognizing it's not an obstacle. Wow, my opportunity to heal this within me and be greater at loving is upon me. Let me take advantage of that. I'll share one quick story of practicing this. And this was when I went to see my family about a year ago. We had a family reunion. And I made the conscious decision because many in my family have very different worldviews than I do, politically, socially, religiously. We all love each other immensely. That really came out through my father's passing in a way that was the most amazing. But if we start talking about politics or anything, it gets charged very fast. And I am just as guilty. And I thought, okay, I'm going to stay open. If something comes up and I feel my trigger, I'm going to choose connection over defending myself, over needing to be heard. And I thought, but I'm not looking for that. If it comes up, well, the very first morning, my brother-in-law walked in. We were alone in the living room, and he starts talking about immigration. And I was immediately triggered by the words that he said. But I recognized it. And I said, oh, trigger. I know, been here. I made a choice a very conscious choice in that moment. I would rather connect with him than trying to prove I'm right. So let me get curious about what he's saying. And we talked for 2 hours. And I mostly listened and asked questions because I stayed in curiosity. And at some point, I was able to make comments about, well, I hear you. Here's how that looks for me. And it was a beautiful connection. And not only that, but the rest of our visit, he kept coming back going, that was such a great talk. Thank you. That was such a great talk. He was like amazed. Mainly because he probably expected me to get pretty defensive, which I mean, I might have done in the past. So I just offer this as an example of what we can do, is I recognize that trigger and went, wow, no, this is an opportunity, not an obstacle. But it's not an opportunity for me to express my opinions. It's an opportunity for me to make a connection. Because my first priority is to love him exactly as he is. This is the message I believe Jesus brought to us. It's the message he modeled. And it doesn't mean that we don't speak up or we don't take action. It's not a complacency. But when we pause and come and make that conscious decision to make a true connection, a heart to connection, to look past those things that are triggering us, and to know that's a person there. That's a person that is a God self just the way I am. Then we have an opportunity to do something much greater. And I think it was in the song, or the prayer we read, that it said, when you do that, you actually call forth love in them. You call forth love in the world. So that's why this is a power, because love is the greatest power there is. There is nothing that is against it, because it is the all. It is the whole of what we are. It's the oneness of what we are. There isn't anything really in opposition. There's just the ability to deny it, which I know I have in the past been good at, but now I choose a new path. So let me wrap up with one more thing the author shared that I thought was so beautiful. Because he said, all life is precious. You do not become more precious because you have multisensory perceptions, or less precious because you do not. I just want to say that again. You do not become more precious because you have expanded your consciousness. And you are not less precious if you have not. Becoming multisensory does not make you more patient, grateful, or caring. It makes you more aware. It makes you more aware. And how you use your new awareness is for you to decide. All life is precious. I may have a different worldview than my brother-in-law, but we are equally precious in the heart of God. So knowing you are inherently connected to everyone and everything, I invite you, with whatever situations you may get triggered in through the next week, through the next year, through this holiday season, see it as an opportunity to create authentic power by connection. Thank you. Namaste. We're going to move into a meditation, and I don't know if I'm going to have musical accompaniment or not. Maybe not. Okay. All right. Let's just take a moment then to sit back. Take a nice, deep breath in. If it's comfortable, put both of your feet on the ground and rest your hands gently on your lap. Let that chair support you completely. And just begin to notice your breath. If you feel like you need it, if you feel there's any triggers coming up, take a nice deep breath into that. And release it on a sigh. And if you need to, do that again. And when you feel comfortable, just fall into a nice, easy breathing rhythm. And let the quietness surrounding us seep into your mind and into your heart. As I read you a poem, it's a meditation poem by Destiny Love. Can't go wrong with a name like that, Destiny Love. And it's a prayer about when triggers arise. So sit back and let these words just come to life in you. I am right here breathing. Breathing into this collective burden, exploring it from the inside out. My deepest shadow illuminated. Shatter the delusion. I bow in gratitude, breathing. I bow in gratitude, softening. I bow in gratitude. I've asked to be illuminated, so how can I not be grateful? You showed up through this triggering situation to illumine my wound so I may heal. I bow to the faces who trigger me. Thank you for helping me to heal. I wish to heal. No band-aids here. To really heal now. To breathe into this pain. To offer love to this pain in my body, in my mind. To offer space. To offer self-compassion, rippling out from truth, healing betrayal, healing disconnection, healing greed, healing disgust, resentment, revenge, offering space, offering breath. Now, offering my life, this moment, right now. Here I am. Here I am. Here I am, breathing space. offering all that I can offer my life right now, my presence to the pain, to the wound, to heal in myself and to heal within the collective. May we all be freed from this suffering. May we remember. May we bow in gratitude to one another for illuminating where we are still disconnected and suffering and stuck. Offering this moment, breathing space into the body, bowing in gratitude for the mystery of life. Thank you, life. I choose to remember wholeness. I choose love. As you are ready, take a deep, gentle breath in. And on your exhale, bring your awareness back to your body, back to the room. And as you feel called to, gently open your eyes, remembering we are love, and so it is. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Lisa. I love what you had to say. Now is the time when we acknowledge that all we have comes to us from God, our source. With our gifts, we express our openness to give and receive and our gratitude for God's generous supply. Let's join together in our affirmation for gifts, which is printed in your bulletin. Divine love and wisdom flowing through me, bless and multiply all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Let's join together in the blessing of our gifts. With grateful hearts, we bless our gifts and say, "Thank you, God, for the abundant blessings we enjoy." We release our gifts as they go out into the world, expressing God's unlimited love, abundance, and supply. Thank you. For those who wish to contribute electronically, you'll find a donate button on our website homepage when the service is over. You may also mail your contribution to Unity in the Heart, 1898 Eaglehart Avenue, St. Paul, Minnesota, 55104. Bill, it's time to hear another one of your gorgeous songs.
my life I've heard it sung. After learning how to love, we are never too young. But it's also true, and I've heard it told, when it comes to giving love, we're never too old to give a little love from the bottom of the heart. If you want to make a friend of someone, that's where you start. Inside of you, let it be true. From the bottom of the heart, give a little love. And our hearts will open, and our hearts will close. That's the way our hearts are fashioned, I suppose. But if we just stay true to the higher point of view, love that's here inside of us will come pouring through. When you give a little love from the bottom of the heart, if you want to make a friend of someone, that's where you start. Inside of you, let it be true. From the bottom of the heart, give a little love. Sometimes that's real easy, sometimes not. And sometimes life just don't work out the way you thought. But when trouble's got you running, your dreams torn apart, there's an answer right inside of you. That's where the whole thing starts. So give a little love from the bottom of the heart. If you want to make a friend of someone, that's where you start. Inside of you, let it be true. From the bottom of the heart, give a little love. Just give a little love from the bottom of the heart. If you want to make a friend of someone, that's where you start. Inside of you, let it be true. From the bottom of the heart, oh, give a little love. Down inside of you, let it ring true. From the bottom of the heart, give a little love.
Thank you, Bill. And thank all of you for your presence with us today. We at Unity in the Heart will hold you in the light and love of God during the week. Let's have our peace song and recite the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Merry Christmas.